We're going to hang our ledger boards. This is going to give us a shelf where we can actually put our cabinets on the shelf. One man can hold it up with one hand while the other screws in the cabinets. Makes your job a lot easier. Again, we know where our stud locations are, marked here. We know where our cabinets are going to begin and end. Just put your ledger board in somewhere in there. Down a little bit. Yeah.
Notice the lines on the wall that we drew earlier for our stud locations. That makes the rest of our install a lot easier.
Push it in a little closer. Down a little ways then. This piece right here, there's some foil tape wrapped all the way around this, which makes this incredibly difficult to get out. And what we're going to do is just cut along the front of this tape, try to break the seam and break it down. So we'll just cut along that foil tape. And there we go. Alright, now it's still taped in the back, but we're making progress. Looks like we had to sacrifice our bottom boot. They only cost a couple of dollars. You can see the foil tape that was wrapped all around it. That's what was giving us trouble pulling it down. So we're going to run down the hardware store, pick up another one of these. We're also going to need an extension from this flange here. We'll get it in, tape it around, and get our boot where it needs to be right down here for our microwave. This represents the cabinet above the microwave. The cabinet to the right and to the left of it. This right here will be where the microwave is. We want our vent right here. We went to the local hardware store and picked up a drop vent like this. Now, if you remember, we also have to come over just a little bit, and this is dead center, so we're going to bring this over. So we really don't want to put it here. We want it right over here. So the way I accomplish that is pretty easy. Just take some tin snips, cut right here and right there, and bend this flange down like so. And then when we stick it up in there, this is our center mark on here. Now it lines up just fine. That flange takes up that space right there. And once we take this off, it'll be nice and tight. Also on this side, I'll need a little bit of tape on this side as well. And now we can hang our cabinets. Now that we've got these first two cabinets we're going to bring together, I never ever screw my stiles in standing upright like this. There's too many issues that take too much time. One, you've got to elevate it up and down to match this. The other thing is you've got to bring it forward and back on the top side, and you also have to bring it forward and back on the bottom. It makes it very difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these cabinets on their back, then put the stiles together. 90% of the work will already be done for us. Okay, as I mentioned before, now that we've laid the cabinets on their backs, these stiles are going to come together real easy. Come on down, I'll show you. Bring our cabinets together, and look at this. Without doing anything, it's almost perfect as is. So that's all we got to do. Put our clamps on. Just give it just a little bit of tension, and that way I can make my final adjustments. You probably can't even see that in the camera, they're so small. Come on over here, go to this side. Gosh, I don't even have to move that. Tighten them down. Go ahead and fan back. Okay. Now we're ready to screw our stiles together. It's just that simple. Here's one of those tools that you just have to have. It's made by DeWalt. I think it's called the Rapid Load. You can get them on our website if you like. This makes your job 100 times easier. Your big screws are going to go in with no cracking at all. It's just something I can't live without it. I've got every size in my toolbox. Okay, now that we're ready to screw for our to put our stiles together, here's another thing, another tip that we've always done at Morningstar. I don't like to see screws in my cabinets. So what we do is, come on over here. See this little hole right here? You have one here and one on the other side. This is for the hinges, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck right in close to it. I'm probably 1/4 of an inch from that hole. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and drill for my screws. That way when the hinge plate goes back on it, you'll never see our mounting screws. So here we go. Just like that. Okay, now that our cabinets are screwed together through the stiles, the next important step is that we must screw the backs of the cabinets together. Come on in tighter and I'll show you this. See how this cabinet can still move? Well, you definitely don't want that when you're mounting. So the best thing to do, there's different shims on the market. You have wooden shims. I rarely ever use wooden shims. I don't like them because when it comes time to break them, sometimes they just don't break all that smooth. So I really prefer these plastic shims. You'll see in a minute. First thing you want to do is find out how wide is it. You could measure this, but the easier way to do that is just simply to come up here and get your measurement. Okay. Todd, can you hold that for me? Okay, now we've got the front stile and the back stile screwed together. You really don't need to do the back stiles both top and bottom. The only time I really do that if it's a long cabinet run to give it extra stability. Right now on this run we've only got 2 cabinets, so one screw in the back and a couple up front is plenty strong to keep this cabinet together until we mount it on the wall. It's just for the handling when we're putting the cabinets up. Okay. Remember, we're going to need a 2-inch filler between our cabinets. Now, fillers traditionally come in 3 inches, and I don't recommend having them cut to size because you never know until you get in the field what you're going to need. So I always get a larger filler and cut it down to what we need. Just a couple of things to remember. Always wear your safety goggles. Another thing is keep your blade just barely higher than whatever you're working with. If your blade's up this high and you happen to slip, you're going to cut a finger off. But if you were to slip on this, it's going to be just a small cut. So, all right, let's go. We've measured over 2 inches for our fence. The fence is set in place. Make sure you have a nice new blade so you get a nice cut on this. The other thing you want to do, you'll see that fill strips typically come finished on both sides. Well, now that we've made our cut, you're always, before you start your cabinet install, you're going to want to get yourself some markers that closely matches whatever you're doing. And this goes for crown or anything. Wherever you've cut, just mark the edge, just a little bit. You don't have to mark the whole thing, just a little bit.